be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, you know they know I'm hot.
What's up? What's going on, my good people? Welcome back to Rhonda's Real Talk, where people come for the food and they stick around for the conversation. Before we get into this food, I want to ask that you like, comment, share, subscribe. All right, y'all. Today I'm eating a salad and it has lots of things in it. I'm gonna take a bite first, and then I'm gonna add one more thing, and I'm gonna tell y'all what's in it. So let's get a bite first, y'all. Come on now. Come on now, for real. See, I shouldn't have chopped this spinach up. I don't know why I had this fancy idea about chopping the spinach up. Y'all, I could not let the idea of chopping this spinach go. I couldn't let it go. I had to chop it up. And I don't usually do that, but I did today. All right. Let me tell you what's in the salad. So I put everything in a bowl and I dressed the salad and everything. All right, so I got some chopped spinach, tomatoes, green olives, bacon, boiled eggs, white onions, cilantro, avocado, feta cheese, salmon, and I used some Caesar dressing, y'all. The salad is fire. And I seasoned it with some of my jalapeno garlic pepper. I love putting that on my salads. And y'all, I have, this is Texas toast croutons. So I made me like a crouton dust just for a little more texture, a little crunch. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay. Come on now. Give y'all a bite of that. You see that? Ooh. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. Mm. Y'all, I have had my heart set on the salad all day. This is too good. Especially with the crouton dust, because it adds flavor and texture. Saltiness from the olives, some creaminess from the dressing, but also from the avocado. I wish I could make this for y'all. I wish y'all was here with me. Y'all know it's good if I ain't talking. I'm gonna have to have this tomorrow too. I am. I'm gonna have to. This salad is so good, it shut me up. And I'm so glad that I dressed it while it was in the bowl so that I can make sure that every single bite has dressing on it. And I use Brianna's Caesar dressing. I love Brianna's Caesar dressing. It's so good. Somebody had sent me a message and they were like, Rhonda, on the channel, can you talk about any toxic relationship? It doesn't matter and how you dealt with it. They didn't specify anything about it. So I'm like, okay, yeah, bet I got you. So y'all, I'm going to be talking about me dealing with a toxic boss. Which a lot of y'all can probably relate. So I'm going to talk about that. I feel like I talked about it a little bit, but I don't think in detail. My. Woo! I'll be right back, y'all. I got some packages from Amazon. You know what's so interesting about Amazon is that either they don't knock at all or they knock like the police. And of the two, I prefer them knocking like the police, you know? Because, you know, when you get your status updates and it tells you it'll arrive by 8 p.m. or whatever, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm not checking my door every hour. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I forget to even just check the app to see, you know, what's up on my package. So it might have been sitting out there for a while. So I do like them to knock, and they be knocking like the police. I have a question for you. What would you do in this situation? You've been talking to somebody for like 3 or 4 weeks on the phone. So maybe y'all met on a dating app. Y'all exchanged a few messages on there. And then y'all exchanged numbers. They seem pretty cool. And y'all been having great conversation for a couple weeks on the phone. So like 2 or 3 weeks on the phone. Y'all finally decided to get together. And the plans that y'all made fell through. Like it was a schedule, you know, scheduled thing. So the plans kind of fell through. So the person who invited you out ends up inviting you to a cookout. Their family is having a cookout at a park. Would you go? Like, would you be okay with your first date being at a cookout? I love me a cookout. And I feel like it doesn't necessarily have to be a pressure situation like that, but I'm gonna say no, because I feel like the first couple times that we hang out, well, more than a couple, I would like it to be just us. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't want that to be the first time me meeting you in person. Because like, what if the attraction is not there? You know, what if the person is cool over the phone and the attraction is not there? You know, I don't want to feel pressure to like stick around and like hang out with your family. I also don't want to give your family the impression that this is more than what it really is. You know what I'm saying? Because just because we talked on the phone for a few weeks doesn't mean that it's going to be a relationship. So I don't think I would, just because I need to be around you myself first. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, no. But I could also see why somebody might say yeah. But yeah, I would, then first I'm gonna say, probably like our first, I don't know, like what, month and a half, 2 months. I feel like I would want it to be me and that person one-on-one. And then I feel like if you're dating regularly during that 2-month period, I think that'll let you know how you feel about incorporating other people into the mix. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the cool thing about seeing somebody at a cookout is to see like their family dynamic and see, potentially the kind of people you'd be dealing with, right? If things do get serious. So you do get an idea about that. So it's a couple cool things about it. But yeah, if I'm not feeling you, I don't want to do all that in front of you know what I'm saying? Like in front of your family. And I would never be rude. I'm just saying I prefer more of an intimate setting for us to see how things transfer from the phone and to in person. I would prefer that. I guess it could go either way. But y'all let me know. Would you do it? Have you done it? If you've done it, was it a good idea? Was it a bad idea? Y'all, this salad, y'all should make it. I'm gonna put the ingredients and everything I put in here, the dressing that I use, all of that. I'm gonna put everything in the description, y'all. Y'all should make this delicious, okay? I mean, do the crouton dust and everything. All right, so before I get into this topic, if you have a topic or a question that you want me to ask here on the channel, go ahead and hit me up at rhondasrealtalk@gmail.com, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at rhondasrealtalk. All right, so I mentioned before that somebody wanted me to talk about any toxic relationship I've ever experienced. So I didn't feel like that was limited to family or a romantic relationship or friends or anything like that. One of the first things that came to mind was having a toxic boss. So this was back in 2017. So I was working at this amazing company, y'all, like an amazing company, working from home. The pay was all right, but where they fell short in terms of pay, it had a really great work environment, like the culture and just how they handled the employees, the things they did for us and stuff like that. Like, I really feel like they really prioritized their employees. You know what I'm saying? We were a priority, and like taking time off wasn't hard. Like, they used to have these different events and stuff for us, our holiday parties, everything about it was great, right? So even though I was in a good situation, an opportunity presented itself where a recruiter reached out to me, and it was at another company. So let me back up a little bit too. I have a background in healthcare as a quality analyst, right? And that position pretty much is somebody who does training. You change processes, you look for opportunities, you evaluate phone calls, live chats and stuff like that. So when you're calling somebody and it says this call may be recorded or monitored for quality purposes, that's what I have a history of doing, is doing that. And just trying to improve processes and stuff like that, and like the customer experience. That's my background, and like training. So I just wanted to explain like what I did, what my role was. So what I did at this one company, another company recruited me to come and work for them, right? And they were paying like $4.50 more, right? So that was appealing. And so I'm reading about the company online, and everything seemed cool. I decided to go through the interviewing process, and I ended up getting the job. And they hired me pretty quick too. So when I put my 2-week notice in at the company I was at, everybody was completely like surprised. They were floored. And at the time I was a team lead, and I had like a team of 15 people that were under me or that I managed. And I don't know, y'all, like, I was really sad to go, but I was also really open to what was to come. You know what I'm saying? So people started asking me, where am I going? Where you going, Rhonda? Where you going? So I didn't really want to tell them, but I finally did. Like, I told them where I was going, and people immediately, everybody's reaction, every person that asked me where I was going, and I told them, because I didn't tell everybody, certain people I was like, I'd rather keep that to myself. But then certain people, we had a certain type of relationship, and I would tell them, and they were like, oh, like, Rhonda, I'm telling you, that environment, like, it's a lot, like, a lot of their stuff is outdated. They micromanage. I heard it's really toxic. And not even I heard. Some of it was I heard it was like that. And then some of them are like, oh no, like my husband used to work there. I used to work there, right? I'm telling you around the firsthand experience. And I'm like, you know what? I'm still the kind of person that's going to figure it out for myself and try it for myself, And so I'm like, I've already agreed to it. I've already put my notice in. I'm going to show up on the first day of work and we're going to see what it is, right? So this was my first time like catching a train to work, y'all. I've never caught the train to work, but this job was downtown LA. So that was a huge transition for me. You know what I'm saying? Like leading up to everything. I remember like the weekend before going to work, I caught the train downtown to make sure I knew where I was going. Cause I didn't catch the train like that. I've always had a car. So, and I've caught the train a handful of times, but never downtown LA. So I catch the train to make sure I know where I'm going. I get off the train at my stop and I walk all the way to my job. It's a nice walk. So I'm gonna say it's about maybe 3/4 of a mile, something like that. Maybe 3/4 of a mile or a mile, maybe even, you know what I'm saying? Very close to a mile. So anyways, I go on my first day, everything is cool. I expected us to be like in some type of, the people who were, it was me and somebody else. Ironically, somebody that was on my team also left the company and we started on the same day. And it's so funny because me and this person didn't really, not that we didn't get along. I feel like we just kept our distance from each other. You know what I'm saying? Like we just weren't, I don't know. We didn't have it wasn't bad blood. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm not gonna lie, it was nice to see a familiar face, right? So I see a familiar face and I'm shocked that she was coming because she didn't tell anybody where she was going. So when I saw her, when they asked us to go into this room, I was like, what you doing here? She like, what you doing here? I'm like, I told a few people where I was going. She wasn't one of them, but I'm like, yeah, we here now. So it was kind of cool seeing a familiar face. Me and her actually ended up becoming really cool because we had to really rely and lean on each other because of how the work environment how it ended up being. So anyways, when I met my boss, she was cool, of course, had her smiling and talking in this cute little voice and being pleasant and showing us around and telling us how our training and stuff was going to go, right? So she told us our training was going to last for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And to me, I feel like that was kind of quick to learn like new systems and really understand. You really have to understand the role of the people that you're evaluating. You know what I'm saying? Like, so essentially I needed to be trained like a customer service rep, basically. So she put us in this quick ass training. And it wasn't even from a trainer. It was from another person, one of our peers. It was another person that was a quality analyst that trained us. So it was a really sloppy training, to be honest with you. Like, I don't even know that this girl was prepared to train or if she had even trained before. They asked her to do it and she did it. So she did the best that she could, but it was kind of sloppy though. Sloppy, choppy, missing information, couldn't find paperwork, slides and stuff missing. She couldn't log into certain systems to like show us certain things. And like I said, this is a job where we need hands-on stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember the room that we were in, y'all. We didn't even have tables. We didn't have tables. Like, we had these notebooks and the notebook was just like sitting in our lap. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting up against the wall in the chair, notebook in my lap, taking notes, looking up at a projector. That's how the training was. So I'm kind of feeling like, damn, did I make a bad decision? Because I'm like, just the training is like, because the training was so legit in the previous job. Like, they trained me. They put me through like an 8-week training as if I was a customer service rep so that I could understand their job, front to back and be able to do my job, the right way, which makes sense. Because when you don't train people, like, it's going to catch up to you every single time. You have to train people to know their job, right? So I'm like, so this training is off. Like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, and I appreciate the girl, our peer, the other quality analyst, she did what she could, but like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, she gave us, the basics, but we needed way more information, y'all. Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm like, there's no way I can evaluate. So they put us on the floor and they're trying to ask us to evaluate. So I was like, you know what? I go to my boss. I'm like, hey, I appreciate the introduction of the training and the basics that we got, but we need more than this. We need like customer service training. So I pushed it. And I was also willing to go above her to find out if we could get training. And I really shouldn't have to beg for training, because this is something that y'all promised me because that was one of my questions about, like, how is the training going to be? Am I going to be equipped to do my job? That's what I need to know, and y'all promised me that. And that week and a half training wasn't enough. So anyways, I pushed it. She finally was like, all right, Rhonda, like, but she had an attitude though. She had an attitude that I was in training, and she was mad because me and the other girl that came, the two of us that started at the same time, we were going to be away for 6 weeks. But it's like, give us the time to learn now, because you're going to pay for it later if we don't get training. So we go through training. We meet some amazing people that are like customer service reps. We meet people that are the trainers and stuff. We have a really good time. I learned everything I need to learn. We're doing hands-on stuff. We're like actually handling calls, taking calls and everything, right? Which I appreciate that. Even though that wasn't my job and my role, like taking those calls was really, really helpful, So y'all, it's just, I don't know. So didn't want to do the form. I'm sorry, I'm looking at notes, y'all, to see. So we got the sloppy initial training, no formal training. She was trying to take that away from us. And she would always be checking on us. And I'm like, what exactly do you think we're doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in a room full of people. It was like 15 to 20 people in training. And she would always be clocking us. How's everything going? And it's like, yo, we going to be done in 6 weeks. Like, stop coming back every day and at the end of every week trying to see if we're done. We're not done. It's a 6-week program. Expect to see us in 6 weeks. So there's that. And then, so finally we get done with training and we get on the floor and we're like doing everything right. Definitely was the micromanaging that happened right off the gate. And when I say micromanaging, we had these cubicles where it was like, it wasn't like the super high cubicles, but they were kind of high to where like you could see people walking by, but like she would basically come and lean on my cubicle like this, right? Be leaning on my cubicle trying to see if I'm clocked in. What am I doing? I'm like, first of all, I don't have to start work till 8. It's like 7:45. Why are you here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you leaning on my cubicle? Trying to see what I'm doing. Where am I going? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, yo, like, stop pressing me. If I'm not late and I'm not doing anything wrong, like, can you get off my cubicle and let me get my stuff set up, put my lunch in the, in the refrigerator? Like, stop pressing me, please. So she would micromanage. She would just walk up and down the aisles all day, y'all. And I would be like, what exactly are you doing all day? Because every time I look up, you walking up and down the aisles. Our team, it was 35 of us on the team. All she would do, I promise you, is walk up and down the aisle the entire time, seeing if we were working. But I'm like, you have systems in place where you can look and see if somebody is working from your desk. I don't understand why you're here, So she would do that. She would gossip. You could hear her talking about other people. Like, she would think that she was whispering, but she wasn't. And then one day, y'all, okay, so I started working at 8, then I started working like 7 to 3:30. So in California, you got to take your lunch by the 5th hour, right? Or you're in a violation, right? So we would get these schedules of when our lunch was, right? So pretty much my lunch was, once I changed to working at 7 o'clock in the morning, my lunch was at 11 o'clock, right? And that gave, that was the 4th hour. So y'all, one day, and we had to like clock out. So we had this system and they wanted you to be on time, right? So one day I clocked out, y'all, at 11:01 and it registered 11:01. It said 11 when I clicked on it, but by the time it registered, it said 11:01. The system was like thinking, it was like, the system was like hung up or somewhere along the way it was hung up. It was thinking. And by the time it registered, it said 11:01. I go to lunch, come back at 11:31. I got an email that was timestamped at 11:02 talking about you need to make sure that you go to lunch at 11 o'clock. And I responded back like, yo, first of all, like, I'm not even in violation of the 5-hour mark. And I tried to clock out on time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tried to clock out on time and it said 11 o'clock on my computer. And by the time it registered, it said 11:01. Well, you need to make sure that you're letting us know if you're 1 minute late. You need to send us an email with a screenshot and blah, 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 blah. And the reason why you're late, y'all, type in all caps about me being 1 minute late. I understand how compliance and stuff works, but what can I do if the system registered at 11:01? Anyway, I'm like trying to make it a point to wrap up at like 10:50, 10:55. But then also if you're wrapping up at 10:50, 10:55, it's like, what are you doing? You should be working. And it's like, hello, like, can you meet me somewhere in the middle? I'm trying to be on time so you don't press me about this 1 minute. Anyway, y'all, just, I'm getting worked up just thinking about it. All right, so then going forward. And y'all, she's done a whole bunch of stuff. But these are things that I was just thinking about, when I thought about when she came to mind. So then, y'all, she sends an email one day where, because I think people either started at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock, or 8 o'clock. So when I first started, 8 o'clock, I had to take the 8 o'clock shift because I was new. Then I moved to 7 a.m. So she sent us an email, all written in caps, always typing in caps or whatever. And she said, it basically said no more bathroom breaks. This email told us that it said, whatever time you start at 6, 7, or 8, you are not allowed to go to the restroom within the first hour. And I'm like, is this an HR violation? Or, I'm just a human rights violation? Like, I don't know. This don't feel right. How you going to tell me that I can't go to the restroom within the first hour of working? She was just like, you need to get your snacks, your water, your tea, and go to the restroom before you start work. You can't go to the restroom, once work is started. And I'm just like, can you do that? And here's the thing. I wanted to go to HR about it to clarify if this was something that could be done. But like low key, I felt like that she had HR in their pocket, in their pocket. Like she was friends and would be kikiing with people in HR. So I'm like, I felt like that was kind of pointless. But I probably still should have. But I'm like, I couldn't believe that she said this to us. Like, what? So birthdays were a big thing at this job. And I feel like they always wanted an excuse to order food or like have a potluck, right? So we were the two newest people on the team, me and the girl that I came to the company with. We were the two newest people, and they did ask our birthdays when we first started, right? So at my birthday, did we celebrate my birthday? We did. We celebrated my birthday. They decorated my desk. And then when the other girl's birthday came around, I felt like, I promise you, I felt like they weren't going to celebrate her birthday. And I'm like, I can't let this happen. You know what I'm saying? Like me and her finally became cool. We would walk to the train together. Like when we got off work, we would talk during lunch. We would go to like the little farmer's market and stuff like that together. So I'm like, I can't let her, have her birthday and there's nothing on her desk, right? So instead of catching the train that day, I ended up driving in that day so I can get there extra early to give me time to set up her desk. So I went and bought decorations and I set up her desk, right? I set everything up. It was all cute, colorful, whatever. Nobody ever came in at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And I think at the time she was working at 8. Nobody had came in to come decorate her desk. So if I hadn't came in, her desk was going to be bare, which to me lets you know that people don't like you or whatever the case may be. If everybody else's desk was decorated, obviously some were decorated with more stuff than others, but everybody had some type of celebratory something for their birthday. While I was there, everybody did, including myself. So I'm like in there putting her stuff together. People are coming in to work, whatever. So she comes in, she sees her desk is decorated. She's going around asking who did it. And I'm thinking like, well, why does it matter? Because you wanted her to walk into an empty desk? Like you was trying to make an example out of her and let her know how you feel about her? Like, come on, as a supervisor, as a boss, who does that? So then people were telling her like, oh, we don't know who did it. We don't know who did it because I was in there before a lot of people arrived. And so she found out that it was me. Y'all, why was she mean mugging me all day? She was rolling her eyes at me. She was making it a point to like walk, like hang out at this girl's desk behind me. And every time I would look, she would cut her eyes at me. And I'm like, how you gonna be mad because I decided to spend my money and take my time to come in and decorate her desk? Like, that's only fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're gonna be fair, be fair. And you weren't trying to be fair. So y'all, she was just so toxic and like childish. But you could tell how unhappy she was though. She was so unhappy in her personal life. I feel like she didn't even like herself. So her job was the only place in her life where she had control over anybody else. She had control, and she used that shit every single day, every moment that she could. She used every ounce of her control, doing stuff that I feel like just wasn't right. And she knew that nobody wasn't going to go to HR on her because, like I said, every time we looked up, she was in HR's office, and I still should have said something about the things that I noticed, but I didn't. I was just like, I need to get up out of here. Y'all started praying like, God, please just get me out of here. I don't please. And because my schedule was so wild, it was so hard for me to interview. They never wanted to give you time off. Like, it was hard getting days off work. Like, she would try to ask you why you needed time off. And I'm like, I don't have to tell you why I'm getting time off. I don't have to tell you that, or if I call in sick, I also don't have to tell you the reason why I'm calling in sick. Just know I don't feel well. I'm not coming. Right. So she was just always doing too much and overstepping. I know she violated some shit. I know she did for sure. And so like I said, I was praying to God, like, please get me up out of here. Anything you got to do. And this is when my foot got messed up, y'all. If you were around, you know, some years ago, you would know that I had an Achilles injury. My Achilles was messed up for like 2 years. And that it happened while I was at this job. That's what God gave me. God messed my Achilles got messed up. And I basically had to go on leave for like 8 months, y'all, because my foot was just messed up. It wasn't healing. My doctor took me off work and sent me back too soon. I messed my foot up again and I was off for like 8 months. And honestly, that was the biggest blessing in disguise. It was like, you know, you never know how what situation God is going to put you in. And I think about it, like, I wish I was talking about like how me and Honey were talking about like our old jobs and stuff like that. And I was telling her how much I loved the previous job and the environment and how they cared about their employees. And, you know, they couldn't pay us top dollar, but they made up for it in so many other ways. They really did, honestly. And I was saying like, damn, like part of me like wishes I would have stayed just because I loved the environment. I felt valued and appreciated. And like the work that I did, it mattered. But if I wouldn't have went through hell and like experienced the things that I did, like I worked on a lot of writing projects and stuff while my foot was messed up. That was just a part of my story. Like even me working in this toxic ass work environment with this toxic ass boss is still a part of why I'm even here right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just all a part of the journey. And that part had to happen in order for me to even get here, you know? So that's my experience, y'all. Like she was a mess. Like, ugh. I wish I remember her last name. I remember her first name, but I can't remember her last name for nothing. Like my mind is completely blank. But just the way she would look, y'all, just the way she would cut her eyes, the way that she would just, I don't know, like, ugh, just, I could just see her face right now. Just so disgusting. Like the way her energy, her vibe was just so heavy and so dark. You know what I'm saying? And I promise you, she did not like who she was. She didn't like her husband. She didn't like her personal life. She didn't like nothing about her. So that's why it's so important to work on yourself and be happy, because all you're going to do is take that energy and shit everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be negative everywhere else and dark everywhere else that you go, you know? And she felt like she had some power and she was for sure going to use it, and she did. And she made a lot of our lives a living hell, for real. And I was so happy when I got up out of there. So everybody that told me, everything that everybody told me, those people that had worked there or had a spouse that worked there, everything they said was true. So sometimes you got to listen to people. Sometimes you do. I don't know. Like when I think about the reviews I saw online and the stories I heard with people, I probably should have sat this one out, but I'm glad that I didn't, because again, it was all relevant and relative to my journey, to me even being here right now. So that's it, y'all. Y'all tell me about some of y'all toxic work experiences you've had, toxic bosses or team leads or, you know, directors or whoever of your department, anybody in accounting, HR, your coworkers, whoever. It don't matter. If you commute to work, you got some toxic people that you ride with. I just feel like, man, it's very easy for a work environment to become toxic, you know, because people just say and do whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? And there's no consequence. I'm just so glad that I'm not there. That I didn't spend years and years and years, you know, around that type of energy. Y'all, I started working there in September and I went on leave in May. And I was on leave until like February of the following year, like dealing with my Achilles injury. So, whew, I didn't see that injury coming, but man, I'd rather deal with that than be in a toxic environment like that, where somebody is treating you like shit pretty much, you know, for 8 hours a day. That is not a good feeling. So y'all meet me in the comments. Tell me about your own experiences. I appreciate y'all watching. Please make sure you make this salad, y'all. Check the description. I'm going to put everything there, I promise. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Make the best of the day, y'all. Be good to yourself. Peace.
I be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, you know they know I'm hot.